And we're live. Hello, everyone.
Hello, happy hump day.
Yes, happy hump day. Today we're going to pick up the conversation of if you're over 40 and you feel stuck, this is the conversation for you because that is what we're going to be talking about today. Kashima and I, we went out to breakfast, and so we were kind of talking about some of the challenges that we have as far as really wanting to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish and feel the things that we want to feel. And part of that is, well, this is my belief. I don't know if it's your belief or not, but my belief is once you get over 40 and you realize I don't have a infinite amount of time. Like when we're young and we're just trying to figure things out, we have plenty of time. We're not really worried about it. But once you get over 40, especially when you get over 50, you're like, if I haven't gotten to figure it out by now, if I don't feel like I'm progressing now, then the clock is like ticking loudly.
So for you, it's like equivalent to a woman's biological clock. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it is.
I don't have that feeling.
You don't have that feeling?
No.
Well, you and I, maybe because you're younger than me, but I think when you get my age, I think
No, that's not true because you've had this feeling since I've known you.
That's because I'm an achiever, and if I'm not achieving, if I'm not growing, I feel like I'm dying. I do. That's my belief. Well, we talked about beliefs.
That's your belief because your belief about what is considered to be growth is also different. Because I feel like we can grow every day, and I feel like I do grow a little bit every day because the more I know, the more I feel like I grow. So any information that comes my way, I feel like it's part of my growth because it either changes my perception about things, or I get new information about something, or there's always something different. But I feel that's all part of it, and it contributes to the whole.
Well, do you feel stuck?
Yeah, but I don't equate that to not growing. I equate that to something completely different.
Well, you can grow and be stuck, but my definition of that is you're just growing old. You ain't growing nowhere else if you're stuck. You're just growing old.
Yeah,
you're just
stuck,
getting more
for example,
information. You're getting more wisdom. You're getting more, right? But that's okay.
So that's growth. That contributes to growth, in my opinion. That's why I said maybe your outlook of growth is a little bit different because I feel like I'm still able to grow based off of things that I pull from outside resources, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I am not motivating myself to a certain extent, then that's being stuck. That has nothing to do with my growth.
I guess
my growth is my awareness of the fact that I'm stuck. That is growth, because maybe at a different point in my life I wasn't even aware that I was stuck.
Well, I guess that is growth, because that's the first step in getting unstuck is awareness. Right. So I guess so. I feel like most people that feel stuck, they don't really have a destination. And so I think that's the first thing that's usually missing, right? So if you feel stuck, the first question is, well, where are you trying to go? Because most people just are paralyzed and stay still because they don't know where they want to go.
Yeah.
Right? And go where? Like, what do you mean go? Do what? Well, it just depends on all the areas of your life. If when I look at relationship, am I good? Do I feel great about where I'm at with relationships, right? And on a scale of 1 to 10, I give myself a number. Am I happy with that number? Okay, I can check the box. I'm good there. Spiritually, where am I at there? I give myself a scale of 1 to 10. Not how good I am or have I perfected it, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy am I with where I'm at in that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So financially, how happy I am within that. Health, how happy I am within that. And then I look at anything that's, 7 or below, and that's what I decide to focus on. And then I say, okay, well, I'm not happy here. Where do I want to be? Like everything is like step by step, kind of,
Okay.
logical for me.
Let me ask you a question now. Was that a part of your personal development strategy and how you've created that to be something that you do? Or were you doing that prior to your personal development journey? Because I feel like a lot of us, and I include myself in this, we don't naturally think that way. It has to, I feel like it has to be taught, or it has to come from somewhere, an outside source, to say, well, this is a strategy that you can use and implement so that this is the way of thinking and this is how you manage and control your outcome, your results, your thought process, all of those things that would contribute to that. I don't feel like that was I don't know about you, but I don't feel like that's a natural way of thinking, because human beings don't operate from that system. We operate from, we were talking about this before, we operate from a fear-based system. And whatever is going to cause the most pain, that's what we operate from.
Right. That's what gets our attention.
We stay in our comfort zone.
Yeah.
So it's not natural to think complete opposite of that, which is what you just described. I feel like that has to be instilled in someone at some point in their life.
It's a strategy that I have learned. And that's what you're saying.
That's what I'm referring to.
It's a strategy.
And most people who haven't done the work and haven't gone through some type of personal development or, some sort of explanation of how to do that, we don't know how to do that.
Well, I'm a personal development junkie, so I've done a lot of work and still doing it. So we have natural instincts, like you mentioned, and it's fear-based. We will do more to avoid pain than we will do to pursue pleasure.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
So most of our lives it's spent reactively trying to escape pain. Yeah. And it's usually fear that we are using as the emotion to drive us forward. So most people will, go to, whether it's going to college, whether it's learning a trade, whether it's getting a job, whatever it is, it's the fear of not being able to take care of yourself or not being able to eat, feed your family, or, and that's what kind of drives us. It's the fear of failing is the reason why we study. It's the fear of being alone is the reason why, we may have a relationship with kids or whatever. Usually everything that we do that's hard, it's the fear of something that we're trying to avoid, right? So what I've done is I've used that and I kind of flip it so that way it drives me and I'm able to pick out my fears to drive me to get to my goals. You know what I mean? Does that make sense or no?
A little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah.
So I'll give you a perfect example. So in school, I told you I was, I thought I was lazy, and then I didn't think I was that smart. I proved myself wrong when I had the fear of everyone finding out that, I was dumb and lazy, right? And so that fear drove me to work very hard, and, I was able to get, all A's in college, which I didn't think was possible. Once I knew it was possible, I didn't get all A's anymore because it wasn't fear-based.
You didn't have something to prove, right?
I didn't have anything to prove, right? Until I think it was my junior year. It was the hardest year in college. I procrastinated and I put all my electives like I stacked them, you know, because I was like avoiding this class or avoiding this class. So I had all of these electives that were hard classes that I had to do because they were only offered, you know, so often, right?
Right.
So, no, I think it was my senior year. I don't remember. It was either junior or senior year. But anyway, I had all these classes that I had to cram in to be able to graduate on time. And it was my junior year because I was pledging Alpha at that time as well. So here I'm pledging. I had the hardest caseload ever. It was 20 credit hours, and there was conflicting classes. So I couldn't take them because they were offered at the same time.
Right.
So what I had to do was I had to go to a neighboring college to find that class to take it so that I wouldn't be delayed in graduation. So it was AUM of Montgomery. So I went.
Where you played ping pong?
No. That was med school.
different?
That was med
Oh,
school.
that was med school.
We're
Okay.
going back to college now.
Okay.
So
So in both college and in med school, you were part of
right.
two schools.
Two schools. Yeah. So I went over, and that was the one that I had friends that I was partying with, right? That I was staying up all night, right? So anyway, I went there,
That's funny.
and I talked to the dean. So now remember, you know, Alabama State, HBCU. I had issues of people telling me I wasn't good enough because, you know, of the color of my skin the whole time. Not the whole time I was in ASU, but like before I went there. And so now I'm going to AUM, which is a predominantly white school. It's in the middle of, like, you know, Alabama, where, you know, race issues was a big and is a challenge. So I go to this school. I have the dean. I had to go to the dean of sciences, and I had to convince him to let me take his organic chemistry class. Well, organic chemistry is like one of the hardest classes. So he looked at my transcript. You know, he never like looked at me, or at least this was my like my memory of this. He looked at my class. He says, "Well, you already have 16 hours here, 16 credit hours." I said, "Yeah, I know." And then he says, "Well, if you take my class, then you're going to have 20." I said, "Yeah, I can do math. I know this."
Yeah.
And this is what he says. He says, "I can't approve this." I said, "Why?" He says, "Because you're not going to pass the class." Ooh.
Right.
So now this guy that does not know me, all he knows is that I came from another school that, in my head, he feels is inferior. He doesn't feel like I'm smart enough to be able to handle this course load. And his class is probably the hardest class of all the classes that I'm taking. And there's no way that I would pass it. That's what he just told me.
Yeah.
So what I said, well, all due respect, not only will I pass your class, but I will get an A in it. Then he looked up over he had his glasses down like this. He looked up at me, and he said, "Okay," and signed off on it. And then, so I was pissed, right? How you just gonna tell me I'm not gonna pass your class? You don't know me.
Right.
You don't know me. How you gonna tell me that, right? I'm like, you don't. So I was pissed, right? And so I took it. The minute I walked out of his office, I was like, oh shit, what in the world did I just do? I was frightened out of my mind, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I got all these classes. I'm pledging a fraternity, and I got 20 credit hours, and now I gotta freaking get an A.
In the hardest
and I
class.
had to do it because if I didn't get an A in his class, even if I got a B, it's like everything that, you know.
That he said was true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had something to prove. And the fear that I had of, like, I was not just representing myself. I was representing my school. I was representing my race. I was, you know. Everything. I just made all of this stuff up, and it was like fear. So I used that fear, and I worked my ass off, and I focused. And that was the first time since my freshman year when I was scared out of my mind that I had something to prove. And now I had never got all A's throughout college, and then I had 20 credit hours, the hardest classes ever, and I got a 4.0. First time, since freshman year. And it was all fear-based.
Right.
But it showed me what I was able to do. And so then I'm like, okay, now I know the formula. I have to get myself in a situation where I have something to prove and there's fear involved, and I have to harness that energy and attach it to something that I want.
Right.
Because if I just want it, that's not good enough. It's not going to motivate me.
Right.
So now I think what I'm doing is, now that I'm over 50, I'm using the fear of time running out. I'm like, I think I've purposely made this up in my head that the clock is ticking, and I don't want to get to the end of my life and look back and say, you could have done so much more.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's just like the freaking cold plunge, I was fearful that I had to come back on here and tell people that I didn't do it. It had nothing to do with the fact that, I need to do this, so let me do it.
Right.
Right? The positive benefits of doing a cold plunge, like that doesn't motivate me. Mm-hmm. It's the fear that I purposely set myself up for situations that I'm like, I can't fail. This is not an option.
That makes sense, because you did it.
I did it, right?
Even though you were making every excuse not to do it.
I was stressed. I was stressed about it. So, and I think that that's the reason why I keep my health the way that I do. There's a certain level of fitness I keep myself up to. There's certain, my numbers, all my lab work, everything like that. It's the fear of not being sick. It's not the fear of being overweight. It's not the fear of not living a long life. It should motivate me, but it doesn't. That's not what motivates me. It's the fear of not being able to live by example. I teach people how to live their best lives. I teach people how to have the most energy and how to get out of pain and all this. So if I'm overweight and in pain and have no energy, then that's my biggest fear, because I won't be living up to what I teach people to do. And I use that to motivate me. But if I wasn't doing what I was doing and I didn't have that motivation and no one was looking, hell, I'd probably, be under the covers eating chocolate chip cookies just like everybody else. Truth be told.
Not that everybody is under the covers eating chocolate.
All right, well, in my mind, maybe that's because what I want to do. What I want to do, especially when it's cold, I want to get up underneath the covers. No, donuts, that's my thing. I want to be up underneath the covers eating donuts or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even a sweets person, but it's just something about donuts. It's a weird.
Yeah, we're going to have to see what that is all about at some point.
I need some therapy. Yeah, I need some therapy.
Donuts and fried chicken.
Oh my Lord.
Those two. There must be a story around.
Well, I can tell you the story around fried chicken.
We don't have time for that.
Fried chicken. I mean, I grew up that's fried chicken. Love. They're the same. They're the same. Love, fried chicken, same thing. And the reason why is because of the love that my Aunt Della put into her chicken, my mom put into her chicken. It was a thing. It wasn't let's go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and get I remember I used to this is nasty. It's grease. There's nothing that I'm attracted to about fast like Kentucky Fried Chicken until Popeyes came out, because that was that tasted more like the chicken that my the people that my aunt and my mom made for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, I didn't grow up, let's go out and get some chicken. It was in the kitchen, cooking, the smell, the family around. So there's a lot of things linked.
Association.
That's the association.
Yes.
Right? So, it just sticks. And so I don't have a whole lot of foods that I have that association with. And we didn't even do donuts when I was growing up. I don't even know where that came from. But, I know where it came from. That came from college, like the Krispy Kreme. And now I hate Krispy Kreme. It's like so nasty. But we had this, there was just, it would be cold outside and you'd be driving along and then the Krispy Kreme light would be on saying hot, which means that the donuts just came out of the oven. Like literally people almost wrecked their car trying to turn into it to get it like while it was hot. And so that association got stuck with me, I think, and that's where that came from. But that's a weird one. Anyway, I digress. There's always links. Everything that we do or everything that we're addicted to or it's hard for us to not do or break the habit, there's always something that we're gaining from it. Like it's serving a purpose, it's giving us one of our, human needs. It's delivering that. And the way to break it is we have to associate different things to it. So, when you associate death and destruction to fried chicken or death and destruction to, your blood sugar's going up and insulin levels spike and I picture the fat being like just stored in my body. And, when I picture all the things that I saw in the hospital and everything like that, and I associate that with donuts, then I don't want them anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So again, using fear to be able to get myself to do what I want to do because looking great and having a six-pack and all this kind of stuff, that doesn't motivate me. So I can't use that. So
what if I told you I'm gonna leave you if you don't get a six-pack?
I wouldn't believe you. You love me too much. I wouldn't believe you. Now, if that was the case,
that wouldn't scare you straight.
If that was really the case, I bet you I would do it. I bet you it would get done.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I know.
Yeah, but if I had a six-pack, oh no, I might have to get back out in them streets again. I don't know. It might be dangerous.
Don't go out in them streets and get run over. That's not even run over. Ran over. I went straight to Ebonics on that one.
I don't know where you went. So, what is it that what do you think motivates you? That's what motivates me. What motivates you? How do you get unstuck when you're stuck?
Well, like I said before, I don't have a strategy. I feel like what gets me unstuck is someone needing something from me. Mm-hmm. And once I'm needed and I start, doing things and I gain momentum and, things start happening because, one thing can turn into something else and then it just keeps on going and then it piles up. And now I'm no longer in that stuck mindset because the momentum is still moving me forward in a forward trajectory. So I feel like that's what eventually gets me unstuck. Mm-hmm. There's no strategy behind it, unfortunately. I would like to learn a strategy though, so I'm not dependent on whether someone needs me or not to get me out of being stuck.
Well, I say don't try to change who you are, right? That's your makeup. That's who you are. Don't try to change that. Just use it. Like that's like me saying I don't want to feel fear to get me to do something. So I'm going to change my makeup and I'm going to use this other thing to motivate me because I shouldn't have to be in fear to motivate me, right?
Well, right. But what if somebody doesn't need me? Then
everybody, you're always needed. You're always needed.
If somebody doesn't need me, then
you're always needed.
Stuck forever.
Right. But that's just like saying, well, what if you don't ever have any fear? Like I don't have the desire to have fear, right? And so, it's the same thing.
Fear is
you
a
create,
feeling, though.
But you create it. I don't have any reason to have fear.
You create it within yourself, but you're not dependent on somebody else creating it for you. If somebody needs me, that's me depending on them outside parties.
Right.
to decide that they need me.
But what I'm saying is, someone always needs you, right? The
I
way
guess I
that
just have to find the.
that's my point.
Oh.
The proactive part, right? So, for instance, I can put myself in a comfort zone where I never have fear, but then I'm going to be stuck. So, what I do is I proactively find situations that puts me in fear. So, what I'm suggesting is that you find situations where you're needed. Like proactively find situations that you're needed, put yourself in those situations, so then that way you can operate based on your makeup, and it's not such an uphill struggle. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because when I tell you I need you don't believe me, so that doesn't work.
You're right.
You're like, you don't need anybody. You just find somebody else. I'm like, that's not true. That's not true.
Yeah, because time's running out. Okay. You don't have time for that.
Nobody got time for that. All right. Well, anyway, this has been a fun conversation. This has been a fun conversation. I hope this was something that was helpful for you all.
Once again, learning so much about you.
Yes, yes. So if you're watching the replay or recording or whatever, put it in the chat. Like, what are some of the things that you feel stuck in? What motivates you? Like, is it fear? Is it feeling needed? Is it like, what is that thing?
In the comments.
In the comments. What did I say?
In the chat.
Oh, well, in the comments.
Don't need me to reply, please. Thank you.
They need what? They need you.
I said don't need
No,
me
they
to
need you.
reply.
They can't just type in.
Please and thank you.
No. So in the comments it says, Kashima, we need you to reply to this. Yes. Now, you see? Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.